Toronto Maple Leafs just got a much-needed win in a game that was, it went down to the wire. The last second, the Leafs played great. Austin Matthews was the savior in tonight's game, along with, there's a few saviors. Ilya Samsonov, Max Domi, a lot of guys played very well. Even John Tavares got in on the action, and Darius, they did it. The series is tied 1-1, going back home without William Nylander. The Bruins arena was absolutely buzzing. They thought they had it. The Leafs took care of business and really got, aside from obviously winning the first two games, got exactly what they wanted, which was a split. And a split is what we'll take for the Toronto Maple Leafs in one of the most intense games that I've watched so far this playoff run. Obviously, the Jets one yesterday was crazy, but this one was down to the wire. Darius, you got the shades on, you got the jersey. I was going to put mine on, but I had to get the stream going right away. What's up, everybody? Darius, they did it. The Leafs are tied. It's looking good. William Nylander, status up in the air. We're probably making 50 videos about that coming up soon, but let's hear your thoughts. What a game. Huge shot by Matthews. You see it in the thumbnail. It's the direct clip. He did it.
Yeah. The Leafs, they instilled a little bit of hope again in us, didn't they? But for a lot of that game, it didn't look good. I'm going to be honest, and I wasn't feeling good about it. Boston is a hard arena to play in. The Bruins play a hard-hitting, tough caliber of hockey, and they were bringing it to the Leafs, man, to start the game. And I really did not feel good about the game. But if you're the Leafs, getting a split in Boston, you have one home ice back, my friend. This is good for the Leafs. And a nice, tidy win at the end. Like, that Matthews goal was clutch. What a move and what a play. But to hold it down for the last 6 minutes and kill off a pretty dumb penalty, honestly.
Should have been 5-on-3, probably.
Yeah, it should have been it should have been, but that's the NHL, right? If it's regular season, that's a 5-on-3, but they kill it off. They get the win. They're coming back home with a split. You're feeling good about it. I think if you're the Leafs, you're feeling good about it. You're doing it without Nylander and Bobby McMann, who's been lost in all of this. You're feeling good because you're going to probably get those two back at some point in this series too. Honestly, they're playing pretty good. We talked about the last game one. Chalk it up to a little bit of bad luck, but they're playing well. Played well again tonight. Two bad mistakes. The Bruins had 2 goals, and that's the way it stayed, and the Leafs won 3-2. So
huge.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm loving it.
One of Matthews' best playoff games in his career. One of his biggest goals, of course, in his career. What's up, Scooby-Doo? What's up, Tim, Dylan, everyone who's in here.
What's up, guys?
Funneling in. Wow. I have the box score. We'll go over the box score. We'll go over even kind of just discuss Nylander a little bit, and you can see. You can see everything here now. I actually don't have the Bruins box score. We have the Leafs box score to go over at least, which we'll definitely get into. You can see Max Domi had a great game. Austin Matthews kind of has struggled a little bit scoring in the playoffs, but he did it. He scored tonight, and Darius, that goal was a thing of beauty. And you think back to, I think back to earlier in the game when that high sticking was called on Tyler Bertuzzi, and I thought, oh, the curse, the Maple Leafs curse. It was going to be one of those games. They fought. They continued to fight back, and just later on in that power play with 30 or 40 seconds left, John Tavares got the goal, and that's the bounce back you need, especially after that. The crowd was on him. It was definitely high sticking, but barely high sticking, and shout out, not a shout out because he's a Bruins player, but Linus Ullmark had a phenomenal game, and we still won. Bigger shout out to Ilya Samsonov, who came in, 93 save percentage, completely shut the door, especially he stood on his head those last 2 minutes. It was terrifying to watch. But they did it, and I don't know, you really can't ask for much more than a split in this series, given the fact that William Nylander is, and that's what the conversations now is going to transition to later this stream, and even just for the next couple days until they play again at home. But Darius, even Lyubushkin got on the board with an assist tonight, he did take a dumb penalty, but that's fine. Max Domi, masterclass game. There's so much, I'm pumped. I'm absolutely fired up, and they split, going back home against a very good team. We didn't get swept.
Oh, that was the meme going into the series, right? Oh, Bruins in 3. Well, guess what? It's going back to Toronto, and Toronto has home ice advantage now for the rest of the series, technically. But things can change, right? But yeah, man, what a complete game from that first line. Anyone who wants to split them up, which I don't think there's too many of those people left, don't. They're playing amazing together. Do not do that. We got to talk about that second line, though. They had a goals for expected of like 2.9 for the game. We're heading into the third period. At least that is not, you're getting shelled out there. That's terrible. So we got to do something about that. And I'm sure something will be done once Nylander comes back. How about that fourth line tonight? Come on, chat. How about that fourth line? How about Ryan Reeves Andrew Peeke left the game. He was injured. Ryan Reeves is running around out there with the rest of the fourth line, and they put together some great shifts in the third too. We got to give some love to that fourth line. They were like crucial for the Leafs win in this game. Honestly, like no sarcasm, nothing. Like they were absolutely peak tonight. That's what they were. So credit to them. Credit where credit is due. And I thought a lot of the Leafs defenders had a good night tonight too. I thought Benoit had a quiet but good night. And Edmondson's doing exactly what he was brought in to do, which is great. The Leafs are playing really well. Samsonov with huge saves, like you said, and any older Leaf fans in the chat, he kind of reminds me of Cujo. He is all over the place, but sometimes he'll surprise you. And it's just anxiety watching him when he's in net, but he'll get the job done. And I think that's a great thing about Ilya Samsonov. So I don't know, so much to love about tonight's game once it was done. Like you go through all these like phases throughout the game where it's like it's so over and we're so back.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's playoff hockey. You just got to be along for the ride, man. The series is tied 1-1. Don't get too up, don't get too down, even keel, man. And the series is tied. This is great coming back to Toronto.
Yeah, and I should have done this at the start of the stream, but we're going to show off a new animation. Bill saying, wow, that's playoff hockey. Very, very fun start to the playoffs if you're the NHL, if you're just an NHL fan. I mean, the Canucks series has been great. The Jets game was great. The Leafs, the first game was not fun. But the rest of them, today, debatably wasn't fun for a while. But let's show off. I mean, Austin Matthews, I'm just going to let you guys enjoy this animation. He is on top of the world. I mean, again, the thumbnail shows the goal. That was only like 10 or 15 minutes ago, probably a little bit longer than that, but around like 15, 20 minutes ago, he scored that goal. And Lee Beater saying, I loved Reeves' game, lots of hits. Fortunately, the one penalty for him, but otherwise good. David Camp played a really good game too. I mean, yeah, you look at the stats here, and Reeves had 6 hits. Matthews had 6 hits. Matthew Nyes had 5 hits. They stood on their heads, and Benoit, you mentioned it, he was a -1, but he looked solid out there. Again, Edmondson also. Let's give a shout out to Edmondson. 22 and a half minutes time on ice. Morgan Riley, 23. Edmondson looked good out there. These are the games that they literally traded for him for, is games like this, especially on the road. And, it is Benoit as well. You get the Benoit train going. We were on the train from the start, and now it's going. Someone saying
it's officially left the station, by the way.
Station
like a long time ago. Yeah. I hope you're on it.
You got to be on it now.
The station.
Fourth line was great, doing what they're supposed to do. Play much better than the Boston's fourth line. You want to talk about that again? I know you just did, but I mean, they beat the Boston's fourth line, and that's what it came down to. On top of Vabushkin.
Yeah. Not even that, sorry to cut you off, but not even that they beat the Bruins fourth line. They were matched up fourth line against fourth line. Then Keefe started putting them out against other lines, Bruins second line, which I was getting a little scared. And when they were out there against the first line, bad things usually happen. But they were dominating most of their shifts that weren't against the Bruins first line. Keefe started line matching the fourth line because they were going so well tonight against the Bruins, some of their better players. And I think that speaks volumes to the fourth line. Like I said, credit where credit is due. Reeves had his best game as a Maple Leaf tonight. I mean, he was involved. He was in the board battles. They were chipping the puck in, and he was smashing guys, all right? Like we mentioned before, Andrew Peeke had to leave the game. I'm not sure if it was on a Ryan Reeves play, but he understands it's a long series. And if you keep doing that and keep pounding the Bruins D, they're going to get tired by the time we get to like game 4, game 5. So I love the fourth line tonight. They were great. And to go back to Edmonton, like you talked about, Nick, a lot of those minutes like on the PK too. And the PK coming up huge tonight, man. Like they got Edmonton for a reason, and he is fulfilling. Like obviously you're going to have mistakes and he's going to mess up sometimes, and he's not the fastest player, but he's doing exactly what they got him for, man. Lots to like tonight. Lots to like. And not too much to dislike. I mean, there was a couple of breakdowns. You can't get scored on late in the, I think it was the first period there. You'd like to have that back, but you win the game on Austin Matthews. Like the puck was floating over him. It was like a gift from the heavens. Yeah. And he palmed it down. He scored an amazing goal. Doesn't get better than that.
What's up, Alex Blueface Scar? If you're in here, hit the like button if you enjoy the post-game streams. Leafs in 6. They'll take both at home, lose game 5, and then win 6. Yeah, you look at some of the penalty minutes. There was 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 penalty minutes tonight. Not completely terrible, but more than you definitely want. And that's something they're going to clean up going forward, especially Matthew Nyes almost got, I think it was Matthew Nyes at the end there, almost got in the action for a penalty. Like, there's a lot of different times. They need to settle down a little bit, but I also don't mind it because they have the match of physicality, and this is something they haven't been doing. I mean, you have Ryan Reeves in your team. You have Ilya Lyubushkin, who was really getting into it there at the end of the game. Joel Edmondson, it's looking good. I don't want to get too happy. We did lose the first game in really bad fashion. They came out, though. They came out ready to play. And Tyler Bertuzzi almost had a goal. He got his heart broken. They snatched his first, I think it was his first, first playoff goal as a Leaf.
Yeah.
And didn't happen, unfortunately, because of the high stake. Leafs in 6. What's up, Why? A lot of people saying Leafs in 6. I mean, yeah, feel free.
That is the vibe this year,
Leave
Nick,
your
I'm telling
predictions
you.
right now on the series. I'm going to stick with my original prediction, which I think was Leafs in 7, I think.
Yeah, I think it was.
I think it was Leafs in 7.
Yeah,
Or it was Leafs in 6. We both had Leafs in 6, actually. We both had Leafs in 6. Now that I think back, I think we both had Leafs in 6. W's in the chat. Yeah, W's in the chat. I'm throwing the Austin Matthews thing up there. Feel free to speak the areas, but Matthews is going to be over you.
I think we not to take away from Matthews, because I thought he had one of the best, obviously offensive games, but one of the better defensive games too. And just his awareness, that line, I love that line. They got to keep that together for sure. They played really well tonight. I think we got to get into Marner now, and the chat's asking for it. I think we got to talk a little bit about Mitch Marner, who has kind of been invisible for the last 2 games. I'm not sure if that's the word everyone wants to use, but he needs to assert himself, because he's not scoring again. We've seen it time and time in the playoffs again, or he'll put up empty calorie points in like game 2 of last year, for example. He needs to assert himself. He's got to get going physically, or just do something. He's got to make himself useful if he's not going to score. And the power play hasn't looked great. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but he has to find a way to make himself useful, man. He just has to. And I know the whole thing, he makes $11 million, and yeah, they got to rely on him to score or whatever. If he's not going, find a way to be useful. Tonight, I saw him not scoring and also not getting involved physically. So you're just a guy at that point. So you have to find a way. You're being paid difference maker money. So you got to find a way to be the difference maker, be the needle mover on that line. And I don't think he did it tonight, but there's a lot of time in this series yet. So maybe he shows up in game 3, maybe he shows up in game 4, but in our time watching this era of Leafs hockey, I don't think Mitch Marner has had a moment. We talk about points. We talk about all these things, right? I remember Nylander having a moment against Washington where he tied a game, a big moment for him, right? Matthews has tons of big moments for the Leafs, right, in the playoffs that you can remember back to.
Even right now.
Mitch Marner have a moment where he took over a game. Sorry, what did you say?
Just then, big moment from Matthews. Obviously only game 2, but it's still a big moment.
No, it is a big moment where you take over a game and your skill, he could have missed that breakaway. Yes, he got the breakaway, but he could have missed. But no, he has the skill to put it away. That's a big moment. You need a moment out of Mitch Marner, and that's just what I see. I don't know if anyone sees it differently. I haven't seen a huge memorable moment where he takes over a game from Mitch Marner. We need to see that in this series. We need to see it soon.
I agree. Jays win as well. Life is good. Life is great. Jays do get to win if you care about that right now. I definitely do. I'm predicting the Leafs to win in game 7. Yeah, a lot of people. When is Nylander coming back? Corey, we don't know. We'll probably, at this point, we'll probably have a video tomorrow covering the latest, as we've been doing. We've been uploading a lot of videos, so we'll probably have a couple. Just depends on the news. I maybe they'll ask Keefe about it after tonight. I'm assuming they're probably asking him about it in the
probably
moment.
Happening right now.
So we'll have a video on that probably tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, we'll have it up as soon as we can for you. Probably going to be out a little bit is my guess. And that's my gut reaction. And that's both of our gut reactions. He'll probably be out a little bit. You'd think that if... Who knows, though? Maybe he'd come back for the home game. We really don't know. It's all guessing at this point.
I would suspect, lots of speculation, but I would suspect we might see him at some point in the series, but it's going to be later on. And I think the next bit of information we'll get, which probably won't be much, will be on game day. Will be Wednesday. So I don't think much is going to happen tomorrow. I think we'll get whatever information, maybe tonight, because it's going to be a topic of conversation. Why didn't he play again? But he was skating this morning. So we'll get something tonight, but I think the next bit of big information will probably come Wednesday or something before the game. But that'll be interesting to watch, because now that he's skating, it's just a weird situation, man. Now that he's skating, he still didn't play. It's just odd.
We gotta get an emote done up ASAP. This weird conspiracy theory that's going on with, not even conspiracy, it's just weird. No one knows what's going on. Marner played today. Yeah, what's up, Ryan Hill? You're a huge win from the Buds. Gigantic win. We were prepared either way. We were going to go live, and I didn't know which way it was going to go there at the end before the Matthews goal. It was back and forth a little bit. The Leafs definitely outplayed Boston today as a whole, which is something you couldn't say in last game. Obviously, they lost by a lot, but they looked a lot better. They looked a lot better as a team. They came out more prepared. Now, whether that's because of Keefe, whether that's because they just came out more prepared. But, Darius, you add William Nylander onto this group. Now you're looking at, you mentioned it, Nylander's performed fairly well in the playoffs, big contract, and they're going to start Samsonov now, game 3. You have to imagine, coming off of such a big confidence-boosting game. And then the Boston Bruins will probably go back to Jeremy Swayman, because they've been doing the alternating thing for 29 straight games or whatever it is. I don't know. I like her. I like the Leafs' chances now. I like them a lot more than I did before last game. And I see someone in the chat saying Bruins game 1, Bruins in 4, Leaf wins game 2, Leafs in 5, rinse and repeat with hockey fans. You're definitely right. It's all about the overreactions. But from a non-biased point of view, well, we're both a little bit biased anyways. But from the most objective point of view, they looked a lot better tonight. A lot better as a whole. And that's Matthew's 70th goal of the season.
That is the 70th of the season, and what a beauty that is. And like you said, like confidence is a hell of a drug, man. Like they're feeling good about themselves. Going back to home ice, it was different against Florida last year. You lose both your games on home ice, and you're going into Florida. Like the vibes are different. You're coming home with the split. It's a good thing. So confidence, like you said, man. Samsonov's feeling good. Like that's not a question anymore. Coming into today, could it be Wool? No, it's Samsonov, and it's going to be Samsonov. Although, like, I think most of us knew, like, it's Samsonov the whole way, probably, unless he's hurt.
Yeah, and I want to mention something that we mentioned in our stream, whenever our last stream was a couple weeks or a week ago. Obviously, we were kind of previewing it, assuming we were going to play Florida and then Bruins, whether they intentionally tanked or not to get to us. I highly doubt it. But we were talking about how the away, getting home ice advantage versus not getting home ice advantage, how the Leafs play better on the road. It almost works out now that they did not get home ice advantage, because now it seemed a lot of the first game had to do with them being, whether it was nervous, unprepared, maybe even a bit surprised because of the Nylander thing. Now it seems like they would have lost that game. Now this could, hindsight, whatever, they probably would have lost that game even if they were on home ice. I can't expect that would have made a 3-goal difference. But now they get the momentum in game 2, a bit less pressure coming into game 2. You're not in front of your fans, potentially going down 2-0 in front of your home fans. You're in front of the Bruins fans, obviously still tons of pressure. And then they did it, and now you get to go back in front of your home fans with a split coming off of a win. I think it's times like this where it may have worked out. The Leafs obviously being a better road team than away team this year, or road team than home team. I think it just works out in general that they ended up not being the home team. We obviously looked at it from Florida's point of view, but it applies here the same with the Boston Bruins and the way that it works out now, because now that all the pressure is on, I guess you could say the pressure is on the Leafs still, but the Bruins now had to do their job, which is get a split in Toronto over the next 2 games with a healthy Nylander coming back, and they have the confidence now they can beat this team with William Nylander.
I would hope that they have the confidence. When Nylander coming back, the vibes would be really high. I think everyone
at
would
home,
be feeling good about it. Yeah, at home, and like the crowd's going nuts and stuff like that. Because Leafs playoff crowds are great. It's not like the regular season, right? And you're right. Like now, I think the pressure is more on the Bruins. Like obviously the Leafs, you got to win your home games, right? But the pressure's on the Bruins. If you look at tonight and their 2 goals, I mean, not that they were bad goals, but like they were complete breakdowns from the Leafs. That's the only 2 goals you scored. Right. And the Leafs were kind of generating things all night and got rewarded for it. So I think there's a lot of pressure on the Bruins, too, from the Bruins side of things. But if you're the Leafs, you're feeling good after this one. Right. You want to piece together another win here in game 3. So we'll see. But the home away thing is very interesting, too. Like when we were looking at the Panthers as a potential opponent, the Panthers are great on the road, too. So you're like, it's kind of a wash. Right. Like, do you want home ice or not? Like, whatever. I guess you would want to play on the road because the Leafs were better road record, but it's showing here, right? They're playing better on the road. And I chalked the first game up to bad luck and a few other breakdowns, and Samsonov could have had a couple goals, and that's it. But now you're here and you lock down the last like 7 minutes of a game. We haven't seen that out of the Leafs in a long time. And your fourth line is one of the best lines on the team for the night. A lot went the Leafs' way tonight, and it's good. You got to be lucky to be good and good to be lucky. So it's a good thing for the Leafs tonight. It's a good night.
Definitely. Double D Canada saying got a big third period save, so only clean penalties up. I'm going to ask Chad now, how confident are you from a scale of 1 to 10 about the Leafs going back home now, and how are you feeling based on what you've seen from the Leafs? Obviously, let's not forget, Darius, it is the Toronto Maple Leafs. They did make it out of the first round against the Lightning last year, and 2 years in a row would be good. But what is your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10 following what you've seen? And again, Nylander's status is up in the air. We have no clue. Again, maybe tweets are coming out soon or now about Sheldon Keefe. I don't think he's going to say anything. I really don't think he's going to say anything about his status. Jay's Digest saying, go Habs, go. Shout out Jay's Digest. Shout out. It's probably Peter. It has to be Peter. So shout out Peter.
Certainly not you.
It's definitely not. Exactly. It's definitely not me. I run that channel as well, so if you're a Jays fan, check that out. But a 7 out of 10, I'm not T-Dot. Don't worry. I promise you I'm not. Fair comment. Interesting comment. 6-4. Yeah, I mean, I'm not too happy. Not too happy. I'm very happy. I'm not too confident right now. I'd say I'm probably a 6.5 because it's the Leafs. Any other team, 10.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it because it's the Leafs. But I think my answer is going to be based on exactly that because it is the Leafs in their aura, I guess, or whatever you want to call it. I said before the series started, Leafs in 6. That means the Bruins have to win 2 games, right? And they still have to win another one if that's the case. So the vibes are high for me, man. I still think it's Leafs in 6. And I wasn't worried. I called it. I thought for anyone who knows me personally or whatever, like I was saying, like they're going to split the series in Boston, right? And I think I even tweeted it out at one point. They were going to split the series. I just felt that way. This is playoff hockey is different, and I think Leaf fans, obviously, because what has happened against the Bruins the last 3 times in the playoffs in the last 11 years, automatically you're pessimistic. Your mind goes to the worst case scenario, and it's understandable, right? But the Leafs are built a little bit different this year, and it's true. And you saw a little bit of it tonight. Reeves running around and doing his thing. Yeah, and Edmondson running around doing it, and they're allowed to do it too because the Bruins have a couple tougher guys, and they brought in Pat Maroon.
Yeah,
but if I'm taking Pat Maroon and Ryan Reeves in a fight, I know who I'm picking, and it's not Pat Maroon. All right, so if they were to square off or fight, I mean, you know who wins. So Reeves is kind of allowing some of the Leafs to run around and do what they want, which is great. I think that's exactly what you need. This is what we've been calling for. So as the series goes, it's a long series, and it doesn't matter how you win. It just matters how many wins you get. So again, 3-2 tonight, and you're like, oh, they don't score 10 goals in a game. It's fine as long as you win, man. So I still think it's Leafs in 6. I think the confidence has to be there throughout the entire fan base. I think you just have to just enjoy the ride. Do not hang on to any, like one moment the Bruins score, oh, it's over. Trade everyone. No, you got to lock in for the entire ride and just enjoy it because I think the Leafs are going to take us on a little bit of it's going to be bumpy, but I think they're going to do something special here.
Shout out Peter, pulling for the Leafs. Happy for your boys from Montreal. So he's going for I guess he's Canadians' first team. Shout out Peter, appreciate it. The Leafs, I'm pulling for them too. Hopefully they can get it done. They've been the better team, and I argue both games. The Leafs, you could make that case, but that doesn't really matter now because they messed up in the first one, but that's okay because this was the big one. This was obviously the one we discussed in our video today. You lose this one, it's not over. The Leafs are weird. They could go ahead and they could have lost today and then won 4 straight and still won in 6. It's just now the pressure is slightly. The pressure is still going to be high going back to Toronto, but the pressure is slightly down. There's a few things they do need to clean up. Bertuzzi, his penalty was terrible. Yeah, it was very bad.
Agreed.
There's a few things they need to clean up. The penalties, the turnovers, just still not a clean hockey game necessarily. It's probably as clean as you can really ask for a playoff game. Hockey tends to almost get less. It depends. It's weird. The game is so different in the playoffs. You kind of mentioned it. Things are just physicality is unbelievable. And Edmondson, 5 hits, 2 blocks today in 23 minutes on the ice. And the big thing, again, was the fact that we have someone now like Ryan Reeves, Joel Edmondson, Ilya Lyubushkin to match up with Pat Maroon and all the other physical guys. Because last year, maybe that'd get in their head. Maybe that would slow the rhythm down. Now Ryan Reeves is right there every time. Lyubushkin's right there every time. We saw it at the end, putting his face. I believe it was putting his hand in Pat Maroon's face. I think it was Pat Maroon. And then Joel Edmondson, who not only is a big boy, he's great. He is one of the. That's going to end up being, if we go far, it's going to end up being the that's going to be the X Factor deadline move and one that we kind of knew that at the time, but I think was obviously it was a great acquisition. Even if they lose the next 4 games, it was a great call by Brad Treliving. And the more we love him, the easier it will be for the player to do it. Good vibes now coming back home, and hopefully Mitch Marner. That's the big one now. Marner needs to lock it in because who knows I don't know how much longer we can handle his lackluster play. He's getting 23 or 20 minutes on the ice, and I don't want to, hate on him or anything like that. But
no, I think it's long overdue though for the money he makes. Like it just it has to happen, or it's not going to happen here, right? I think that's just the basics. Now we're getting down to the basics. Like it's got to start happening, or the Leafs are going to look at different options. Like you talked about with the deadline acquisitions and stuff, like they acquired these guys to play big roles, and so far, like Edmondson is doing that. I thought Dewar was pretty good tonight.
He's steady.
He's been steady. Lyubushkin, a stupid penalty, and the Bertuzzi thing. I wanted to talk about that because somebody put it in the chat. The Bertuzzi penalty, right? Yes, it's a dumb penalty, but think about this for a second. They killed it off and they got lucky. Imagine if the Bruins tie it and all that stuff. I don't want to imagine. Same old song and dance, right? You don't even want to think about it. But on that play, the Bruins are told you're not allowed to sit. You're not allowed to stand here. Actually, right? You're not actually allowed to do this. We're gonna stand up for this. You got to punch, whatever. Then Bertuzzi gets the penalty for the slash on Marchand. Hurts Marchand. Now he lost the game and he's hurt. That doesn't feel good. Not saying he's hurt and he's gonna miss a game. He got a slash in the back of the leg. that hurts. Like now he's back in the dressing room, like, damn, I'm beat up and we lost that game. It doesn't feel good. So now heading back to Toronto, you know what I mean? It's the playoffs are all momentum. It's the little things. And I think the Leafs got away with one there, but I think it's going to start to add up a little bit. We see it with different teams. It's the little things in the playoffs that these old Leaf teams that we watched, Alan McCauley stepping up as the first line center when Matt Sundin went down in 2002. Things like this, like Ty Domi stepping up, and it's the little things that will add up over the course of a season. The Leafs never do things the easy way, so I think it's the little things that are going to get them by here.
Yeah,
go ahead. Yeah,
bad penalty.
They got away with it.
Yeah, bad penalty, but he had a very solid game overall. He had an assist,
Yes.
and you mentioned the little things. It's even the little things are highlighted, or the magnitude of them is much higher in playoff games. Like every little thing matters. Everything is now examined. Now that could go both ways. One turnover could cost you a series. One great play, and the refs are a lot more lenient. They weren't actually super lenient tonight in general. They were actually blowing their whistle, but compared to some of the other games across the NHL, like the refs are pretty lenient these days, and which benefits the Leafs when they have a lot of guys like this. But little things, there's a lot of them, and if the Leafs can do them, which is what they have not been doing the past few years, then it'll obviously pay big dividends to them. But I mean, the penalty minutes, you want to get that cut down, and it's less about necessarily the penalty minutes. Obviously, they're bad. It's more about the penalties, the time of the penalties that you were taking, because the fact that they could have and probably should have gotten a 5-on-3 there with 3 minutes left in the game, that would have been a disaster if they tied it up. And I think the refs kind of didn't want to completely throw the game in one direction based off of a scuffle between Lyubushkin and all these guys, Bertuzzi, but that can happen. It really can happen. But I understand why Lyubushkin was upset. I understand why Bertuzzi did what he did. But risking a 5-on-3 would have been almost a guaranteed goal, especially if they would have pulled their goal, just do all this, pull their goalie, and then it's just all bad.
I agree with like I would say Lyubushkin could probably pull the guy aside and be like, listen, man, I'm not literally saying that he tells the guy, like, listen, you can't do that. Like, maybe just rough him up a little bit. Maybe don't punch him in the face like he did, right? Because as soon as he did that, I was like, okay, that's a penalty. And then Bertuzzi does the thing. And like I said, the little things add up. So I kind of liked it. Again, they got a penalty, but it is the playoffs. So the Bruins got one in return. You're never going to get a 5-on-3 late in a game in the playoffs like that, right? It's just the playoffs. It's the way it works. I would be pissed off if I was on the other end of that as well. But it's just the way it works out in the playoffs. That's how they kind of even things up and don't let it get out of hand and all that. It's more game management in the playoffs, right? We see it all the time. But yeah, it's just a little thing. So they got it. They got away with it. It could have turned out really bad, but there's a lot of teams that get away with it in previous years too. And sometimes they make the Stanley Cup final, and it's the little things that do add up. So I did like it. I like it now because they got away with it, but I wouldn't have been laughing if the Bruins scored there inside the game.
Yeah, Mark saying, how about Dewar? The penalty Bushy took was over the top, but as a goalie, I would have appreciated it. Yeah, and that's kind of the way it is. Connor Dewar has been great. Revo was great. I mean, which is surprising. We were talking about him being horrible months ago. I'm so pessimistic about the Leafs, but I agree. Joel plays at his best. I mean, we knew this coming in. He's a playoff player. Played with the Habs. He's been great in the playoffs his entire career, and intangible stuff. Here's a question. If Willie comes back, who would you take out? That's a good one.
If Willie comes back, who would you take out? I think the answer, oh boy, the chat's not gonna like this. It's based on experience, guys. Nick Robertson has.
I was gonna say the exact. I mean, we spoke about it in our videos before. Nick Robertson might be the guy. I'm surprised I can't say I'm surprised he's in because William Nylander's out. He only logged 7 minutes. I mean, if you're just going based off that, you're not taking Ryan Reeves out. You're not going to take anyone else out. Really, I can't even see it. David Kampf had a goal in the first game. Yarn Croak, they're not taking him out. Based on elimination, it would have to be, in theory, Nick Robertson, and then you do your line. And those would make for some more familiar lines anyway, because Keefe scratched Nick Robertson a bunch throughout the regular season because of, I mean, that just makes the most sense. And Nick Robertson hasn't been great. He hasn't been bad necessarily, but he really hasn't, not that he's been given a huge opportunity, but at this point of the year, like, I mean, Marner, but they're not going to do that. Like, realistically, they're not taking Marner out. There's a 0% chance that they...
I think the more likely would be Marner moving down the lineup. But to get back to Robertson, like you said, like, he hasn't necessarily played amazing. And obviously, he hasn't been given that opportunity either. I thought he played a good game today, or tonight, I should say. I thought he played a good game. But I think it's not even process of elimination. You have guys that you can't take out of the lineup like Dewar and stuff because they play a role. When it comes to playoffs, like, they have a role on the team. You can't just take guys out based on skill level, right? So Nick Robertson, yes, he could be putting together some pretty good shifts, But if you look at the playoff experience and you look at the rest of the roster and what those guys bring, you got to take a guy like that out, because I would leave Yarncroke in too. He's the Swiss Army knife. I would leave a guy like that in too. I wouldn't take him out for Nylander. So I think process, like when you go down the line based on role and all these other things, not just skill, I think Robertson loses out. One guy I wanted to bring up too, because nobody's talking about him, right? Third line center. Right, Lindholm. He's been playing great. I thought he's been fantastic. So, Lindholm, Holmberg.
I was about to say.
Yeah, no. I keep thinking the Bruins defense. Sorry, Holmberg. He's been fantastic. Third line center. Nothing happens when he's out there. Like I just feel like he doesn't make too many mistakes. He's skating. His legs are always moving. He's getting in on the forecheck. He's finishing majority of his checks when necessary. Nobody's talking about this guy at all. And I was just. Yeah, and I was watching, Pontus Holmberg. I'm sorry. All right, I said Lindholm. Sorry, I'm thinking of the Bruins defense. But no, I thought he's been pretty good. I just wanted to throw that
10 minutes on the ice tonight, 3 hits, not bad at all. I mean, yeah. No. Like, at this point, they're not going to be make or break, but they're going to have to play the roles. I was going to say, would you slot Marner in the third line, have Willie slot in the second? I mean, it's definitely going to be a consideration. I mean, Marner's been bad, and I feel like there'll probably be one more game minimum between Nylander's return and Marner, and the Leafs playing another game. Like, I feel like he won't return till game 4. I mean, this is all speculation, but you can kind of put some of them together. I mean, he wasn't. I really have no idea. We really have zero idea. They do have a day off tomorrow. They do have a day off, so maybe he gets better, and then he plays on Wednesday. I believe the game is Wednesday at home. You want to double check that? It is, right? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. I was just looking at another comment. Somebody was saying that Marner plays well with Matthews, and yes, he does, because it's Austin Matthews. But when you split them apart, I don't see Marner driving play as well, right? And I also find Matthews doesn't play as physical and as hungry with Marner on his line. Yes, they added him back on for a couple shifts at the end of the game, but when he's with Domi and Bertuzzi, I just feel like they're generating a lot of chances because they're hungry on the puck. And to go back to another comment as well, yes, I would. If Nylander comes back, he's going to second line for sure. And I think Marner moves down just based on play, and then maybe the play picks up because he's going to be matched against different lines, right?
The only way he doesn't play on this, and it'll probably happen anyways, if he's coming back like 70% or something, and they're going to limit his minutes, and maybe they do some weird thing and put him on the third. But even then, they probably still play him on the second line and figure it out, just because of, I mean, I don't want to get into a circle Marner hate train here, but he needs to lock it in. I mean, it's at that point. It needs to happen. It's been years, really, in the playoffs, and Matthews stepped up today. 3 points. He was involved in everything. He was involved in every single goal that the Leafs got. Marner acts like a center on the wing. It's weird. Yeah, Marner has left the chat. Matthews had his best playoff games. Hope he isn't a ghost. Yeah, best playoff game as a Leaf, I think. Or one of the best playoff games as a Leaf, we can say. And again, it's early on in the series, but I think Holmberg centering Nyes and Marner would be pretty dangerous if Marner can pick his game up. That's what it's all. Darius, I'm gonna have to get matching shades for the next one so we can match. And I mean, the cowboy hat, I won't be able to get that turned around for Wednesday, but it's impressive stuff. You got 2 Matthews jerseys.
Two Matthews. Well, yeah, I know. No,
wearing the Tavares
wearing the Tavares one right now. So wearing the Tavares one. Thank you, John, for tying the game. But yeah, I think you got to get a little bit of swag going on here for game 3 or game 4.
Yeah, I meant to have my jersey, but it was it's midnight here, so it was a bit of a quick go. Matty also played good yesterday. Yeah, I mean, Matthews has been good. He's been great before yesterday, but he's been good.
He's been great. He's been consistent, right? And that's what you look for in your best player. Really, he's been fantastic. There's, if he makes a mistake, obviously, but he doesn't make any glaring mistakes, really. So he's been great. Like, what else can you say? Generating chances. He's been good defensively. He's been working on his defensive game. He's been great. I like that comment too about Nyes, Marner, and Holmberg. I don't hate that. That'd be all right. Yeah. But I just don't know. I think McMahon would have to come back to make that work. I've liked Nyes' game. He gets blown up a lot because, again, he's still not used to. He was great in last year's playoffs, but I feel like he's just still not used to the NHL playoffs. So he gets blown up a lot, and he puts himself in weird positions. But he's playing well, and he's getting in on the play. And I feel like he's being pretty physical. Hey, Shane's here.
Shane, I'm going to throw up the animation for you. Jays win 2, Shane. James win 2. Yeah, before we wrap up, let's talk 2 things. And let's just quickly give a shout-out to Ilya Samsonov. We did do it earlier in the stream. Samsonov was dominant tonight. Right. I mean, he really was. It was great. One of the best games of his Leafs tenure. We saw in the playoffs, Last year, he was very good. Maybe he's just built for the playoffs. It was obviously a rough first game, but a very good game tonight. And now looking forward and looking ahead to 48 hours or 45-ish hours from now, Darius. I mean, they just keep doing what they have to do. Hopefully no injuries pop up magically like the Nylander one, but every single headline is going to be on William Nylander, and that's going to be it. And Matthews and Marner should not be playing together, period. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that just because of how bad Marner was. But, yeah, Nylander. We've been talking about it the whole stream. Are you nervous?
It's a distraction.
It's a huge distraction. And it's probably more of a distraction for us covering the team or doing videos. And on Sheldon Keefe probably as well because of he's probably getting asked. We're doing great to see NJ. Leafs win. Can't complain too much. But, Darius, what do you do if I don't even know. I mean, if Willie comes back, I don't know. There's probably no point in speculating too much more. Like, we'll have a video on it tomorrow, but it's the biggest question mark. Like, there's not many other question marks. Maybe how you prepare for the Bruins, what you saw differently from then today. They were aggressive today. They were aggressive in the first game too, but they're really trying to get in the Leafs' head, which used to work in the past, doesn't work now as well because of Ryan Reeves, Ilya Lyubushkin, Joel Edmondson, all these guys. Even Benoit has been out there and thrown his body around, which is something he did with the kid.
You didn't even mention McCabe. McCabe's been good like that, yeah.
Yeah, McCabe. I don't want to be. Yeah, we're missing out on people. But, I mean, there's too many to I mean, everyone played a very solid game aside from, I'm not even going to get into it. Mitch Marner had a pretty rough.
That line struggled tonight. We could say that.
In general, the entire line.
Yes.
Power play. We can mention that before we go. They did switch it up. What are your thoughts?
Yes, they did. They switched it up. It still didn't work.
Nope. Horrible.
So, one thing I noticed.
They did get a power play goal, though.
They did, yes, they did, but it just looked awkward tonight, and like they didn't really look comfortable getting set up and stuff. So one thing I will notice, I'm going to get a little technical. I've noticed that the Bruins are doing, and Bieksa also on the panel mentioned it, but I noticed it in game one they were doing because the Leafs couldn't get set up. They do the weird drop pass thing, right? And then when they come up through the neutral zone, they flip it off to somebody on the wing. It's usually Tavares or a right-handed shot on the other side, and Tavares would get the puck. And as soon as he has it on the boards, they like to drop it back to the D, or they'll put it forward to the player who just passed it to, let's say, Tavares in this example. The Bruins are swarming them. So as soon as they try either of those plays, they'll just dump it down. So the Leafs got to change that. They got to adjust. You have to adjust.
They need to change a lot of things. A lot of things in that power play. I mean, they were a bit lucky to get I don't want to say lucky because they scored twice, technically, on the power play. But, I mean, they're mentioning in the broadcast. This power play, was it in October, whatever it was, February, whatever it was, it was very good.
February.
Like 50%.
50%.
Yeah, not October. I wasn't the season started. 50%. Yeah. And then it dropped now to 14 or something crazy like that. And they don't look, I mean, they obviously made the change. It looked better because they scored. They still don't look comfortable. They don't look comfortable.
No.
And got to give credit to the Bruins. Their PK has been doing very well against the Leafs. And that's something that, I mean, coming into the playoffs, the power play has been an issue as of late for the Leafs anyway. Obviously, back in February, it was good. But that's something that needs to be fixed. But other than that, I think we'll be happy with this win. I'll throw up the box score one more time before we wrap it up. Shout out to everyone in here. Hit the like and subscribe button on your way out. Darius, we peaked at like 80, 90 viewers or something crazy. So shout out to everyone in here. Second stream back. We will be live on Wednesday for the post game of that game. So at the after that game, win or loss, that game is going to be electric. And we also might be in Jurassic Park for one of the games. Let's hope they get there.
Maple Leaf Square. What do they call it now?
What am I thinking? Jurassic Park, the Raptors. Yeah, Maple Leaf Square.
It's a Raptors thing. Yeah. Originally Jurassic Park. I think it's Maple Leaf Square. They might have another tailgate.
Which game would that be?
Like
that would be game.
I think it would be 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll have to double check the dates, but we're going to try to get out to one of those. Darius, you're obviously in Toronto. I'm flying to get there. So if any of you are there, we'll be live on Wednesday, and we'll be live for the rest of the games. So we'll be able to maybe meet up with a few of you closer to that. But Darius, it was a good one. Happy.
It was a good win.
We'll go to sleep happy based on the fact that the Leafs won, and now the Oilers are about to play, so everyone can go enjoy that. I mean, the playoffs have been great. They've been very fun. Actually, the Oilers are up. The Oilers are up already on the Kings, so enjoy the hockey. And any final words, Darius, and any final words in the chat before we wrap up and move on?
Yeah, send any last-minute questions or thoughts, but we'll wrap it up here, I guess. The Leafs, it was a good win. A lot went right for them. And I think we know that they know what they have to clean up, and they're going to do exactly that, or they're going to try at least. And I'm sure the Bruins will adjust as well. But it's going to be fun, man. A split coming back to Toronto. You feel really good about that. I think you're feeling really good about that, and I still feel confident about Leafs in 6, my original prediction. So Samsonov continues to play that way, and you get depth scoring like you kind of have been too. A lot can go right for you. So it's gonna be fun, man. Just enjoy the ride. I feel like the Bruins might get a
Yep.
game in here again. Maybe they even go up 2-1 or something. Just enjoy the ride. I think the Leafs are gonna battle here, so
Thank you,
it should be
Nevster.
fun.
Nevster. Go. What's up, Carl? Everyone's saying Hamid did score. Take it easy, guys. See you all Wednesday. We will see you all Wednesday. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll have a video tomorrow. If you want to check out our video, if you want more Leafs content, if you're fiending for it, we had 2 videos today. So you can go check out either one of those. And yeah, we'll have a video for you tomorrow. Maybe 2, probably 1, depending on what happens. And more stuff Wednesday. And take it easy, everybody. The Leafs win. Darius, we got a Leafs win, so they didn't get swept. So we have one stream where they won a game, which was
Yes.
the goal coming in. But shout out to everyone tuned in, and we will see you very, very soon in Wednesday's stream or tomorrow's